still remember the echo of his voice that day, sharp, trembling, and angry enough to slice the air in half. "You're not my real mom," Ethan shouted, his small fists clenched at his sides, tears already spilling before the words even finished leaving his lips. For a second I forgot how to breathe. We were standing in the middle of the school parking lot, sunlight spilling through the autumn leaves, and every parent, every teacher nearby turned to look. It was like time froze, me holding a lunchbox, and him standing 3 feet away as if we were strangers. Inside, my heart cracked quietly. I forced a smile, pretending the words didn't hit me like a truck. "Ethan, get in the car, sweetheart. We'll talk at home." But he didn't move. He just stared at me. Those brown eyes that used to trust me, now filled with confusion and something like betrayal. The teacher, Mrs. Lane, gave me that awkward, sympathetic smile adults give when they know a storm just broke in someone else's life. I thanked her softly, gathered his backpack, and watched as Ethan finally stomped toward the car, still crying. The drive home was silent except for his sniffles. I didn't know what to say. I'd rehearsed this talk 100 times in my head, but never imagined it would start like this, shouted in front of everyone. You see, I became Ethan's stepmom 3 years ago. His biological mother, Claire, had passed away in an accident when he was 5. I met Daniel, his father, a year later. He was broken, trying to raise a son while holding his own grief together with coffee and late nights. When we married, Ethan had been shy but warm. He used to crawl into my lap with his bedtime stories. He'd call me Lena back then, not Mom, and that was okay. But lately, things had changed. It started 2 months ago when Claire's sister, Aunt Melissa, began visiting again. She brought photo albums, old toys, stories about Claire, beautiful, tragic stories that painted her like a saint. Ethan would sit and listen with wide eyes, hanging on every word. I never wanted to compete. I couldn't, but slowly I began to notice the distance. He'd pull away when I tried to hug him. He'd call me Lena again instead of Mom. And Daniel, always gentle, always trying to keep the peace, said, "Give him time, honey. He's remembering her again. That's not a bad thing. Maybe not. But to a child who lost his mother, remembering can sometimes feel like betrayal." When we got home that day, Ethan ran to his room and slammed the door. I sat in the kitchen, staring at the untouched mug of coffee I'd made that morning, hands trembling. A few minutes later, Daniel walked in from work. His shirt still smelled faintly of engine oil. He was a mechanic, the kind of man who fixed things with quiet patience. He looked at my face and instantly knew something was wrong. "What happened?" he asked, sitting down across from me. "He said it in front of everyone, Daniel." My voice cracked. "He screamed it. That I'm not his real mom." Daniel exhaled slowly, rubbing his forehead. "He's confused, Lena. He's been talking about Claire a lot lately. Melissa told him she used to bake cookies every Friday. He keeps asking why we don't." I swallowed hard. "Because she's gone and I can't be her." He reached across the table, taking my hand. "You don't have to be her. Just be you." But that was the problem. Me wasn't enough for Ethan right now. That night I stood outside his door with a plate of cookies. Chocolate chip, his favorite. The lights were off. I knocked gently. "Ethan? Sweetheart, can I come in?" No answer. I opened the door anyway. He was sitting on the bed, hugging a small framed photo. A woman with kind blue eyes and a smile that looked like sunshine. Claire. His mom. "She was beautiful," I whispered. "She was perfect," he said softly. Not looking up, the silence between us hurt more than any words could. "I'm sorry if I made you angry today," I finally said, "but I just need you to know, I love you, Ethan. Even if I didn't give birth to you, even if I came into your life later, I still love you like you're mine." He stared at the picture, then whispered, "You'll never be her." That one sentence tore through me like glass. I nodded slowly, holding back tears. "You're right," I said. "I'll never be her. But maybe I can still be someone who loves you enough to stay." He looked up for the first time, confusion flickering in his eyes. But before he could answer, he turned his face away again. I placed the cookies on his bedside table and whispered, "Good night, sweetheart," before closing the door. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. Ethan barely spoke to me, though I still packed his lunch, left little notes in his bag. "You got this. Proud of you." But one afternoon, his teacher called. "Mrs. Lane, I just wanted to let you know that Ethan got into a fight today." My heart sank. "What happened?" He said another student told him he doesn't have a real mom. Ethan pushed him. "It got physical. We separated them, but he's upset." I hung up, my stomach twisting. When I reached the school, Ethan was sitting on the bench outside the principal's office, arms crossed, eyes red. He didn't look at me. I sat beside him. "I heard what happened," he muttered. "He called me an orphan." I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice steady. "Do you know what I told your dad when we got married?" He looked at me then, his eyes still wet. "I told him," I said, "that I may never replace her, but I'd spend every day earning the right to love you." Ethan blinked, his lip trembling. He looked like he wanted to say something, but the principal walked out, and the moment was gone. That night Daniel tried to talk to him, but Ethan just went to bed early. I stayed in the kitchen, cleaning the same counter over and over, trying not to cry. When I finally went upstairs, I found something on my pillow, the photo of Claire. The one Ethan had been holding, but this time there was a sticky note on it. It said, in his messy handwriting, "I don't hate you." I sat there for a long time, holding that photo and note against my chest. I didn't know it then, but what happened the next morning would change everything. The morning began quietly, too quietly, the kind of silence that makes you afraid to move. Rain tapped gently against the window, the sky a soft gray. Ethan's door was still closed, but I could hear faint rustling inside. I took a deep breath, made his favorite breakfast: scrambled eggs, toast cut into stars, and a small glass of orange juice. When I knocked, I expected the usual silence. Instead, a muffled "come in" came through the door. He was sitting on his bed, holding the same picture frame again. But this time his eyes weren't angry, just tired. "Hey," I said softly, setting the tray down. "Made you breakfast." He looked at it, then at me. "Why are you being nice to me?" "Because you're my son," I said simply. He frowned. "But I'm not." I sat down beside him. "Then what do you want me to be?" He hesitated. "I don't know. Just not pretending to be her." "I'm not pretending," I said, my voice trembling. "I just want to love you in my own way." He looked at me, confused, as if the idea that someone could love him differently, but still deeply, didn't make sense yet. Later that day, Daniel had to leave for work early, so it was just me and Ethan at home. Around noon I heard the sound of something breaking, glass shattering. I ran to the living room and froze. The photo of Claire was on the floor, the frame cracked. Ethan stood there, shaking, his eyes wide with guilt. "I didn't mean to," he cried. I was trying to move it, but it slipped. I rushed forward, kneeling beside him. "Hey, it's okay. It's just glass." He looked at me, tears streaming down his face. "You're going to hate me now." I gently lifted his chin. "Never," he sniffled. "But it was Mom's picture." "It was," I said quietly, picking up the photo. "But do you know something? She wouldn't want you to hurt yourself trying to hold on to her. She'd want you to live, to smile, to let your heart make room for love again." He stared at me, his breathing slowing. "How do you know that?" he whispered. "Because I'm a mom too," I said. "And I know how it feels to love someone so much you'd want them to heal, even if they loved someone else first." We sat there for a long time, just breathing. For the first time in weeks, it didn't feel like a war between us. That night, when Daniel came home, I told him what happened. He smiled, placed his hand on my shoulder, and said, "You're doing better than you think, Lena." I wanted to believe him. The next weekend was the school's family day, a small event with games, food stalls, and a little stage where kids performed. Ethan had been chosen to read a short piece about family and home. When I told him I'd love to come, he shrugged and said, "You don't have to," but I went anyway. The auditorium was packed. Parents sat shoulder to shoulder, holding cameras and coffee cups. I spotted Ethan standing in line on stage, holding his small note card, eyes darting nervously through the crowd. When his turn came, he climbed up to the microphone, hands trembling. He cleared his throat and began reading. "My name is Ethan. My project is called Family and Home." His voice was small but steady. "A home isn't about where you live," he said. "It's about who waits for you when you come back. Family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes it's someone who chooses you and stays." My eyes filled instantly. He paused, glanced toward the audience, and for the first time he looked right at me. "My mom," he said. his voice cracking, isn't the one who gave birth to me, but she's the one who shows up. Every day, even when I say things that hurt her. The crowd went silent. She's the one who makes me breakfast, packs my bag, and tells me I'm brave when I don't believe it. And maybe I was wrong when I said she wasn't my real mom. He took a shaky breath. Love makes someone real. I didn't realize I was crying until the teacher handed me a tissue. The room broke into soft applause, and Ethan stepped off the stage, his eyes glistening. When he reached me, he hesitated for just a second, then threw his arms around my waist, burying his face in my chest. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't mean it that day. I held him tight, my tears falling into his hair. I know, baby. I know. He looked up, voice trembling. Can I call you Mom now? My breath hitched. Only if you mean it. I do, he said. And in that moment, in a room full of strangers, under the soft hum of fluorescent lights, every wound between us seemed to heal just a little. That night, as I tucked him into bed, he asked, Do you think she'd be mad? Who? I asked softly. Mom. My first mom. I smiled and brushed the hair off his forehead. No, sweetheart. I think she'd be proud, because her boy learned how to love again. He smiled sleepily. Good night, Mom. The word felt heavy and sacred. Good night. Ethan, I whispered back, turning off the light. Later, when Daniel came upstairs, I showed him the note Ethan had written on the back of his speech card. It said, Family isn't blood. It's love that doesn't give up. Daniel smiled, tears in his eyes. You did it, he whispered. I shook my head. No, we did. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Tales Story House for more stories that remind us love isn't about who gave us life, but who helps us live it.